Yes, let's touch on a couple of offers that actually went out today, Tuesday, February 9th, as we're recording this. Why don't we start in the 2022 class on offense? And that's with tight end Eli Raridon out of West Des Moines, Iowa. A lot of family ties to Notre Dame here, but Mike, I'll let you kind of speak to this mainly because it's an interesting development in that it wasn't really clear or even thought likely that Notre Dame was going to take a second tight end in 2022.
Yeah, it wasn't for sure. It's funny. I actually wrote about the Notre Dame tight end recruiting situation, the gold standard, on Monday, and mentioned three prospects outside of class of 2022 commit Jack Nickel that you need to be aware of. Eli was one of them. His dad played at Notre Dame, an offensive tackle and long snapper in the early 2000s. So I believe that it was Scott Raridon Jr. I believe he became a father when he was still a student at Notre Dame. Obviously, it's only 2021, and here's Eli, a junior in high school. And then his grandfather, Scott Sr., was the strength and conditioning coach for Notre Dame in 1988. So that obviously predates us, Patrick. We're a little too young for that. But so you're talking about a guy who, you mentioned Lou Emoji earlier. Lou's about to, if Eli joins Notre Dame's class, Lou is going to have covered three members of this family, which is just crazy. So let's pop on his tape here as well, because I think you guys are going to like him. And this is junior tape here. Look at you can see just the length there. A good 6'6", athleticism. It looks good. It's not a perfect comp, but he just kind of reminds me of Thomas Fidone, who I believe ended up as Rivals' #1 tight end in the country in this 2021 class. Fidone to me was more of a receiver who is just long, and he's just more of a flex tight end kind of guy. Whereas I think Eli is more of a guy who you can split out in the slot or out wide, but you can also really use him as an inline blocker and inline tight end. I mean, neither of those guys are playing against the greatest ball, in Iowa, Nebraska, but still, I mean, this guy looks really good. The bloodlines are great. A legacy. Junior film looks really good. We'll watch a couple more plays, but I think we've already had a couple of questions here in the chat as well. KMA Preston, how likely is it that Eli Raridon ends up with the Irish? I think right now it's, I know Iowa is very high on his list in state school, but I mean, it's hard not to like Notre Dame here, and certainly digging to see if it's worth a future cast pick, but you have to like Notre Dame, right, Pat?
So let's move on to the second offer that went out on February 9th here, and that is Addison Copeland, the wide receiver out of Buffalo, New York. Notre Dame offered when he was committed to Rutgers, as we're recording this, Mike, at just before 8 p.m. Eastern the same day. He is no longer committed to Rutgers. So what do you read into that? What do you read into the offer and Notre Dame's chances and presence in this recruitment going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of an offer that came out of nowhere. Like, his biggest offer to this point was Rutgers, and so, like, look, guys, this podcast, this live show, this isn't for coaches or high school play, like, or parent. Like, this podcast, this live show, this is for fans, right? So we're trying to inform fans, give our takes to Notre Dame fans, Notre Dame haters out there. So you look at Notre Dame offering Addison Copeland. You look at the Rivals page, right? 3-star with 6 offers and a low 3-star ranking, and he's the #5 player in New York, which is not known for having strong high school football. So if you're a Notre Dame fan, you're probably like, why? Right? Why? I just want to say something, right? I'm not going to say that Addison Copeland is the is going to be some stud receiver. We'll pop on his film here in a minute so you guys can form your own opinion. But what I'm going to say is, if you're like, you can't be upset with if Notre Dame offers a guy too late, but then be upset if they offer a guy too early. Like, this Addison Copeland kid's about to blow up. And then, you're going to be really happy that Notre Dame offered. So when they did, like, I just feel like I see, Notre Dame fans get upset when Notre Dame offered a guy, like this. But then, if he gets 15 offers in the next week, then what? You're not going to give the coaching staff any credit. So just a little challenge to Notre Dame fans, listening to this. And yeah, let's see if we can pop up the film here. And these first few clips, I'll show this first one. Then I want to get to, because they're pretty much just all returns, where he's just kind of breezing by people. But so New York did not have a football season in the fall of 2020. So we're watching 2019 tape here. And we had someone ask me this question on the board, Patrick, on blueandgold.com message board. Do these guys like send in new film to Notre Dame? Yeah, they absolutely do. Like, they're doing workouts, they're sending that to Notre Dame. So the Irish have plenty of film on this guy. And like, look, if Notre Dame really likes this kid, like, would you rather Notre Dame go after someone they have a conviction about and really like, and is a 3-star, or would you rather them go after some 4-star that they don't like? Like, do you want Notre Dame to just recruit based on rankings and not only not their own evaluations? You want, like, me, like, if I were picking the rankings, like that's not something that's a craziest thing to say. Like, someone like Mike Singer would be doing rankings, because someone like Mike Singer is doing the rankings. They're journalists who are very good at their job and do really an impossible task by ranking these kids. So you'd rather a Rivals analyst, 247 analyst, ESPN analyst, pick who your coaches should be going after? That's my biggest thing right now. I'm preaching about here, Patrick.
Really grinds your gears, huh?
Really does. You can tell, huh?
No, I think you're right. And I mean, we heard, I think it was Brian Pullian talked about it the most last week, but I think everybody on the staff mentioned it at some point when we heard from them on signing day was, yeah, the rankings are a factor, but they're not the only thing. And yeah, maybe there's a little bit of a crowd that's never satisfied, where you offer a kid when he has few offers. All right, what are you doing? This kid's no good. Or when you offer a kid who has 25 offers, all right, why is it so late? I mean, can't have it both ways. So yeah, I mean, you just kind of figure this is a kid that's on their board, and that they liked. So that's that. And they're not concerned with that he has 6 offers, or if he had 16 or whatever. But all right, so that's Addison Copeland. It's, I don't know, Mike. What do you think here? I know it's just a few hours since the offer went out, but where Notre Dame kind of stands in the race and kind of how you see that playing out.
Yeah, I think, I was talking to a source tied in with this recruitment about an hour before we started recording, and the feeling is that he just opened it up and he wants to see what's out there, because Notre Dame's not the only school that's interested here, and the Fighting Irish offer is only going to expedite his process and get more offers. So I could see like a quick turnaround and flip if, this is a kid who, grew up a big time Notre Dame fan. His father, grandfather, or uncle, whatever, like played at Notre Dame. Like, I could see that happening. I don't think Addison has those kind of ties to Notre Dame. So I think he's going to wait it out a little bit. And talking to a lot of different people, if the dead period gets extended again past April, then I think you're going to see a flurry of commits. I think that's been the case every time that the NCAA has extended the dead period. It's like all these prospects are like, all right, I'm waiting until after this dead period and then take some visits. And then the dead period gets extended and they're like, well, I can't take visits. I'm going to pop. So I think We're not going to see a ton of um, commitments for Notre Dame or really a lot of other schools unless visits open up, and then it's going to be just nuts. Recruiting is going to be crazy if visits open up. But then if it extends, then you're going to see commitments in the near future. So something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, when you first you see him get an offer and then instantly announce his decommitment, you think, oh, flip, because it's right after Notre Dame.
Right.
And maybe that's the case, but later on, and I don't know, I could just as easily look at that and honestly, maybe this is probably the better way to look at it is, hey, I just got a big offer. I'm going to open this up. Let's see what's out there. And we'll go from there. It's February of 2021. Got an entire year if you want it, or at least, what is it, 11 months until the first signing day. So just kind of see what's out there, like you said. Even
Yeah.
though the timing of it is, it was very interesting. I'm sure caught a lot of folks' eyes out there.